we are together again on the radio. I have a story here from the Detroit Free Press. Now, we're on the air in Detroit. The management of the radio station doesn't think our show is good enough to be on any earlier than 3 a.m. And what is amazing about that is, despite being on at 3 a.m., I get hundreds and hundreds of emails from people who work the late shift in Detroit. Somebody at a GM plant just wrote to me and said, everybody at the GM plant is listening. I can't believe how many emails we get from Detroit. So we know you're there. We still think about you and would love to come back to Detroit, but we're on at 3 in the morning, and we can't do the show at 3 in the morning. So, nonetheless, this story, and the fact it was sent to me by a listener in Detroit, and here it is. The State Court of Appeals, this is in Michigan now, has upheld a lower court's ruling that a Western Michigan pharmacist owes a lump sum child support payment to a 21-year-old daughter he has never met, and, get this, until 4 years ago, did not know he had fathered. See, you understand where I'm coming from? One day he finds out he has a 17-year-old daughter that he never knew existed. Now he owes a big lump sum. How much? Oh, you're going to find out. The father, Kent Ballier, could end up owing the woman more than $100,000, his Grand Rapids-based attorney said. Attorney Amy Rademacher said this is going to turn paternity cases on their heads. Ballier, 41, said his daughter, Heather Clow, resulted from a brief college fling in spring 1982. He said he did not know she was his child until her maternal grandparents, who are also her legal guardians, sued him from Florida in August of 1998, correction. I can't even tell you the color of her eyes, said Ballier, who lives near Bailey, a hamlet about 23 miles northwest of Grand Rapids. After a blood test confirmed that he is her biological father, Ballier made weekly child support payments of $200 to $250 until Chloe graduated from Fort Myers North High School in Florida in 2001. So you see, as soon as he knew he had a child, which was when she was 17, he started making child support payments. Like more than $10,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Then Chloe turned 18 and sued Ballier on her own, claiming that he owed her support dating to her birth date in January 1983. Last week, the appeals court affirmed a decision by Kent County Circuit Judge Paul Sullivan in favor of the daughter's claim. The issue of how much money Ballier must pay Chloe probably will be determined in Kent County Family Court. This is the attorney, Amy Rademacher. She said, now a mom can say, I'm not going to deal with dad, with parenting time, or any of those troubling issues until my kid turns 18, and then she can file a lawsuit with the total amount in bulk. It will plunge unsuspecting men into debt. This is a crushing blow because of what it means statewide. Statewide and all over the country, for that matter. Countrywide, for God's sake. It says here that the law usually does not allow responsibility for child support to go on forever, said Christine Mullendor, an associate professor of legal studies at Grand Valley State University and a former assistant Kent County prosecutor. Under paternity laws, the statute of limitations generally caps claims at 6 years, and that's unreasonable. It's my editorial comment. But the daughter, get this is in Michigan, has a year to make her claim as a new adult after turning 18, according to the Court of Appeals. The daughter said she is not trying to set a legal precedent. I'd much rather have had a relationship with my father, but sometimes it can't be that way, said Chloe, Now lives in a Fort Myers duplex near her grandparents' home. I've never seen him, not even a picture of it. Yeah, so you'll take $100,000 instead. Yeah. To ease the pain. She was raised by grandparents Larry and Suzanne Clough from age 5 when her mother was declared mentally disabled. Becky Sue Clough was diagnosed with schizophrenia and made a ward of her parents, her daughter said. My guess, great in the sack. Her and her other personalities. Heather Clough said she discovered her father's address on the internet 4 years ago and briefly exchanged email messages with him. This is why I never want this happening to me. If you are my kid, all my sons and daughters who call me daily aside, if you think you're biologically my kid, don't write me. Don't call me. Don't get in touch with me. Leave me alone. Leave my life alone. I'm letting you know it won't amount to anything good. Trust me. If you've been thinking about that big, happy reunion, don't. Just a little warning to you. She said it appeared for a time he was interested in meeting her. Then Ballier wrote her to say their conversations had been a mistake. She said, that, when her grandparents filed for child support, that'll teach him a lesson. How dare he not want to know his daughter? Will do. We'll make him love her. And if you won't love her, we'll make him give money. Because if you can't get love, you gotta get money. Clough said, I have a father who didn't want anything to do with me. My mother had told me that's how it was, but I had my family who loved me. I'm not a bitter person. Life is too short. Now, I don't think that it is ever reasonable to ask for a lump sum of money. And I can't believe that the laws of any state allow anyone to do this. Here is what is fair. If a woman finds out she is pregnant, she has 1 year to contact the father and tell him he has a responsibility to maintain. And that doesn't mean sending a letter to his last known address or sending it to a non-existent address. That doesn't mean putting a little 3-line classified ad in the penny saver to whom it may concern. No. That means you make contact within a year. Because you know what? You made contact with him vaginally. You can now make contact with him in person. It's not that long ago. You should know where he is. And I say if you do not make contact with him the first year, he's off the hook. You know, why is it that a man only has 1 or 2 years to prove he's not the father, but a woman has 18 years or more, in this case, to prove that he is the father? It should work the same way both ways. So I say you must inform a man, and if he is not informed, and if he doesn't get visitation, and if he is not allowed to participate in the raising of that child, then you don't get money. That's simple. This idea that a woman can wait until a child is 17 years old and then file a lawsuit and then try to take his money, when many men do not have $100,000 lying around. I'd say most people I know don't have $100,000 lying around to just hand over to a complete stranger. It's outrageous. And I am amazed that we don't make these laws change. Hey, the majority of politicians are men. What are you, pussies? Make it happen. Make it fair for men. However much time a man has to prove he's not the father, it should be the exact same amount of time a woman has to prove he is. And if she doesn't do it, and that if a year is what a man has to produce DNA evidence that he's not the father, then it should be a year. 2 years, 2 years. That's what it should be. After that, you have no claim. Do you think I'm being unreasonable?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis.
Tell me about your date.
Basically, we spent a week in bed.
You spent a week in bed. There's a date. My kind of date.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Dawn on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how are you? First time caller.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, I think they should have, if the woman can have a baby, I think she should have the guy who is the father at the time of birth. They could do the DNA testing right there, whether you're married or not, and then they wouldn't have to worry about waiting for years and years.
I completely agree with you, and I've proposed this before, that we mandate DNA testing for every live birth in America.
Exactly
and that
right.
way, there's no such thing as naming the father you want to be the father or naming the richest guy you've dated as the father. No more of this. And by the way, the other thing that happens is you're married and your wife is pregnant and she has a baby. What if you said, I want to get a DNA test on that kid? Your wife would scream bloody murder.
Oh, no.
You don't trust me. I can't believe. If it was the law, you wouldn't have to ask her. It would be done automatically.
That's right. I'm in a situation right now where my husband has a child who he don't even know for sure if it's his from a previous marriage, and that he can't even get visitation rights, but he has to pay over $400 a month for child support.
Outrageous.
Outrageous. And, that takes away from our family, and he don't even get to see the kid. What's the point for him to pay if he can't see him?
And there was no DNA testing done?
No DNA testing done. We can't find the woman. We can't find the kid, but the kids, the money can go to the court system. The court system can send this.
Right, because she probably applied for welfare, and welfare said, hey, whose kid is this?
Exactly.
And in fact, for all you know, because believe me, this happens in Los Angeles all the time, and the people in Los Angeles County don't give a rat's ass if they're wrong. Sometimes a person with a similar name or a different middle initial or a similar Social Security number should be getting dinged, but no, you do.
Right. I agree with you 100% time. I think, that people, that if they're responsible enough to get pregnant, they should be responsible enough to take on the problem themselves.
There should be no welfare paid to anyone who hasn't had a DNA test. There should be no child support paid to anybody who can't give DNA evidence that the child belongs to the person paying. That's it. If I do my taxes, I have to have a shoebox full of receipts. The least a woman can do if she's going to collect $100,000 from a man is show DNA evidence and prove it.
Exactly. I don't even believe in the welfare system. I do not at all, 100%. If I'm out there working my...
Well, here's the thing. There are people who need the welfare system. Let me give you an example, okay? A woman has 2 kids with a man. They're happily married. He gets hit by a bus. Now, the society can't let those kids starve.
Right, but
a woman who goes out, smokes 3 packs of Viceroys a day and then goes out and spreads her legs for every guy in town and has 3 kids by 3 different fathers? No. Well, that's one thing of them, if they actually it's actually legitimate. But for women to go out and have kid after kid after kid and us to support them, I'm out there working 10 hours a day. But what's worse than that is the welfare department doesn't want to pay, so what they do is they get some innocent party to pay. Right. Somebody who has a similar name or a similar Social Security number, or some other guy who dated this chick at one time but is not the father, but nobody cares to find out for sure.
Right.
That is the worst crime of all. It's the worst. And it's about time men start standing up and doing something about this. Writing to their congressman, writing to their state legislator, voting for people who are going to change this. I don't know why we put up with it.
Hey, it's a society nowadays. Look at all the crooked people in the government.
Well, it's our own fault because we don't participate. We don't care. That's the bottom line. And that's really the way it is. I don't think that's going to change, really. 1-800-5800-TOM. Vanessa on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
I totally agree with you. I think it's so unfortunate for men. I mean, I really do. I think it's crap that women can, after 18 years and not even notifying them, and then say, this is your kid, now you're financially responsible, and you owe this amount. That is crazy to me. I agree with you completely.
I mean, the man didn't have a chance to put any money away, to plan for it. Nothing.
Well, he didn't even know the kid. He didn't even get to raise a kid for 18 years. I mean, it's
right.
Having that choice and having, to spend your life with your kid and raising him. But here's 18
Unless you can prove a man is a danger, he's abusive, he has a record of violence, that man has every right to see that child, and if that right is not given to him, he shouldn't have to pay for the privilege.
Right, and you know what? I mean, the guys out there got to protect themselves because there's women out there that will do that, and they need to wake up. I mean, it's great to be with a woman, but you know what? It's like you got to think of the big picture here,
Well,
They need to protect themselves.
I think you're right about that. Junior on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
You're not Tom Leykis Jr., are you?
No.
All right, just checking.
You know what? I don't know. But if I was, I would be more than happy to be Tom Leykis Jr.
That would mean I stooped your mom.
Yeah, long time ago.
Right.
But, Tom, I have to agree with you on this topic completely. Absolutely 100%. I think it's ludicrous on the fact that when a woman decides, hey, you know what, I need money, I know this guy that is the father of my child, I should go after him after 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise him with the kid, hey, this is your kid, you owe me, $200,000 now.
Right.
The guy could be happily married with his own family, and because he knocked up some chick back in his college days, she comes back after him. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know why we tolerate this, but have you ever voted? Do you ever write to anybody about this?
Oh, I'm a voter, and you better believe that I will be most likely writing to my congressman.
You know, your former governor in California, Mr. Gray Davis, was presented with a bill by the former Assemblyman Rod Wright that would require a DNA test before anybody could get child support. And you know what? He wouldn't even look at it. He vetoed it. Yeah,
there's probably something in his past. That's why.
Well, if there was something in his past, he'd have an incentive to sign it.
Yeah, they need a pressure. They need pressure. The citizens of this state need to pressure the government. I mean, just look at how many weeks ago was that, Tom, on those 3 kids that freaking put that homeless guy in jail. You kept giving out the Orange County DA's number, and 2 weeks later, those chicks are in jail.
That's right. They're in juvenile hall. That's right.
They're in juvenile hall now. So what if they're 13? They did something wrong. But you put the pressure on it, and the citizens did it. Now, I'm sure if we could put the pressure on it, every guy in the state would call the congressman and say, change the law. It would be a long, tedious process, but it can happen.
Well, they could. Somehow I doubt people are going to get up and do it. They don't realize what a problem this is until they get a knock at the door and a summons, and then they're being told, or they go to get their paycheck one week, and it's a lot lower than it was last week.
Exactly.
And they find out the money's being taken out to support some broad you nailed 10 years ago.
Exactly, Tom. Tom, and I got to tell you a story. Before I became a Tom Leykis listener, I dated a chick with 4 kids. Boy, that was strike number 4 or 5.
Oh, boy.
She would tell me the stories on how she is screwing her ex-husband. Screwing her ex-husband, getting money out of his pocket. Continuing to get money. She could quit her job and make so much money.
But you never realized that you could be the next victim.
And Tom, I was almost the next victim. But luckily I was able to convince her to do the Hail Mary.
Oh, I love that, Junior. Thank you.
This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles at 1-800-5800-TOM. We're talking about the pharmacist in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who did not know for 17 years that he was the father of a daughter. And when he found out, he started paying child support, $200 to $250 a week. And then after the daughter turned 18, she sued the guy and could end up getting about $100,000 in back child support out of him, even though he had no idea he was the father. Outrageous. Sylvia on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Do you care, Sylvia?
I care, and I have to tell you something. I love you. I hate you, but I'm addicted to you.
That's all we need, dear.
I'm calling to tell all these women who have children from these men, and the men don't want children, that they need to take responsibility. I have a 5-month-old from a 1-year relationship with a married man. Now, we saw each other when we needed each other, and that was it. I got pregnant. It was purely an accident, a mistake. I decided I would keep my child. Of course, he didn't want the child, which is understandable. He's married. We don't want to involve the wife and his other family. So I have my child. I'm raising her on my own. I'm not asking for child support. I will leave that door open for him if he decides to come see his daughter, which he has maybe 3 times. But, Tom, I'm taking responsible for my mistake, for my action, and I'm raising my daughter on my own.
Well, I think that's great. What is not great is that if somehow you had a bad month or you were on the rag or whatever, and you got mad at him for some reason, you could turn around and sue him for back child support later on. I know you won't, but you could, and it's wrong.
Yes, well, wait a minute. I don't think it's that easy because since I am not married to him and I chose, well, in California, you cannot put the man's name on the child support unless you're legally married. So,
wait, that's not true. There are plenty of people who are not legally married.
No, Tom. I had her September 9th of this year. That is a fact in the hospital. They will not allow you to put a man's name on the birth certificate unless he's there to sign over paternity or you are legally married.
Really?
Really, that is a fact.
All right, so what happens if let's say you applied for welfare, and I know you haven't, and you probably won't, but let's say you did. Don't they say, who's the father of this child?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how the welfare system...
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Believe me, even if they didn't let you do it, for whatever reason, if you tried to apply for any kind of public assistance, they would demand to know who the father is and then try to get money out of it.
Well, what kind of proof do they have? I mean, I don't understand what state would allow that. I mean, what kind of proof do they have? I mean, I can go and say, oh, yeah, I had a baby from Tom Leykis, and they're going to try to get it from you? That's nonsense.
Well, they contact me to come in for a DNA test. That's how it works. And what happens is, let's say I'm married and you don't know where I live. So instead, you send it to, I don't know, the radio station you're listening to. I'm not kidding. And let's say the radio station you're listening to is in... I don't know, Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. In many cases, the state or the county will accept that as your attempt to notify me, and if I don't respond within a certain period of time, they'll start docking my pay.
That's ridiculous. I mean, do they go strictly by the name? What about your Social Security numbers? Name is nothing.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, many times, there have been many stories here in Los Angeles. L.A. County is particularly sloppy and arrogant about this. There are many guys who have gotten nailed because they had a different middle initial or because they had a similar Social Security number. And the county is very sloppy and doesn't care.
Oh, that's horrible.
They just want to collect the money.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm calling to tell these women they need to take responsibility. You know you're with somebody just for a certain thing and a little mistake happens and you choose to accept that mistake and go on with your life. You need to be responsibility financially. I mean, I don't make a lot of money, but I could support me and my daughter without any assistance.
Makes me wonder how many married women with their perfect little happy lives and their perfect little happy houses are married to men who have a secret like your man does.
Absolutely. You know what's amazing, Tom, is this man this man totally 100%, trust me, I have his phone number, I have his cell number. You know, Tom, I don't even call him. In fact, after I had my child, he was so mad because I didn't call him to let him know. I'm not going to call him. What if he's home with his wife? I mean, that's his priority, his life.
Well, dear, you're a completely reasonable person, but do you understand most women are not reasonable and rational and logical like you are?
Yeah.
Most women want to rock the boat when this happens.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, it's
because many women, when they have that kid, are having the kid not just because they want to have a kid, not because they're opposed to abortion. They're having the kid to try to get their claws into that guy.
Oh no, I guess I'm totally opposite when it comes to that.
Hang on a second here, Tori. What did you want to say to Sylvia?
Well, you know, I understand what she's saying as far as taking responsibility for your actions. I'm in the same situation, except for that the father of my daughter, he said he was going to pay. He said he wanted to pay, but he never did. So I had to go.
Tori, leave his ass alone. Don't bother with him. Support your own daughter. You don't need him. Leave him alone. Support her. He's going to pay. He says he's not. There you go. You know what kind of man he is.
He doesn't want anything to do with her. So why would you do this?
Exactly.
But if you're going to say you want to take responsibility for your actions, and you know that you make that choice...
Well, maybe he wanted to, but he clearly didn't.
Exactly.
Right.
Leave him alone, Tori.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to say is,
see, Tori is like most women, Sylvia. That's what most women are like. And he said he was going to live up to his responsibility, and he didn't. He didn't have to live up to his responsibility.
That's ridiculous. I mean, yes, he said he was going to do it, but apparently he's not told to support your daughter. Go on with your life.
Right. Oh, and I do, but he does as well. I mean, he does. Unfortunately, it was not the way that he said he was going to, and we had to go through the state. But I also wanted to say that your name doesn't have to be on the birth certificate just because he's the father.
You can't get welfare unless you give a name.
Oh, but I'm not talking about welfare. You can still get child support without having the name on the birth certificate.
Yeah, but can you're not getting it legally. You're getting it like the guy's volunteering.
I get it from the Department of Social Services.
But he was not named as the father? How can that be?
We had a DNA test, but his name isn't on the birth certificate.
So he has no rights as a father?
He is the father as far as the state's concerned, but they don't go and put it on the birth certificate unless you specifically go and make an amendment and say, we want both names on the birth certificate, which is the decision of both parents. It has nothing to do with...
This is what I don't understand. I mean, you had to go to get a DNA so you can collect child support. Why would you go through all that?
Because he wouldn't live up to his responsibility. He said he was going to live up to his responsibility, but then he didn't. So I had to take him to court to live up to his responsibility.
Oh, I didn't take him to court. If he would have said that he didn't want anything to do with it, I would have gladly said,
because he said he wanted to, and then he didn't, I had to do something about it.
Right, but she's saying that she's going to just turn around and never...
So you're saying if all he had to say was, look, bitch, I don't want to have a kid, and I don't want to pay for it, you would have gladly stepped aside. But because he said he wanted to help you, and then he didn't, you had to punish him.
Exactly. Sorry.
I don't see it as a punishment, but...
You don't.
I understand what you're saying.
You had to go to the state to get him to pay money that he wasn't planning on paying to you, but you don't think it's a punishment. Oh, you're doing him a favor?
Tom, listen to me. I bet you if Tori had a chance, she would go to the state so the man can come around and see the child, too, and he'd see her once in a while. That's ridiculous.
I didn't understand what you said. If he did want to see her ever, I would always say yes. I would never say, no, you can't see her.
Because you probably want him to come see you, and apparently he's not interested.
No, I don't want to see him. I'm in a relationship. Thank you. But I'm just wondering, as well as I understand what you're saying, and that's great that you're taking care of him on your own. But like Tom said, if you get mad and you turn around and you want to screw him, did you sign a legal document that said you're never going to go after him?
There's no reason for me to sign a legal document. There's no reason at all, Tori.
But there's nothing to say that you're going to have down on your...
But Sylvia, he didn't live up to his responsibility. You have to make him live up to his responsibility.
Right, and she could...
Right, see, Tori. Tori agrees with me. You have to make him live up to his responsibility.
No, I don't...
He's not being responsible. He has responsibility, and you have to make him live up to it.
Responsibility. It's a matter of, if just like you said, that lady waited 8 years and then all of a sudden said, oh, I want the money now. She could do the same thing. They didn't sign an agreement that said, yeah, you're married, and so I'm not going to ever go after you after money.
So you see, you still have the option of making him live up to his responsibility. If you decide one day you're on the rag and you decide it's time for him to live up to his responsibility, 17 years and 364 days from now, you can go to court and make him live up to his responsibility, which you should make him live up to his responsibility because he should be responsible.
I don't agree with that, and I'm not saying I do agree with that. I believe the same as you. If I take a year, if he gets a year, I get a year. I don't think that that's right to wait 17 years.
But since that's the way it is, you could always make him live up to his responsibility. Even after he turns 18, you can make him live up to his responsibility.
That's not even what I'm saying.
Let's say you get hit by a bus, then you can make him live up to his responsibility.
But that's what I'm saying she could do. And that's what I'm asking. Does she have something in writing that says she's not going to do that?
No, Tori, I'm not going to do that.
Right, you say that now. I didn't do it for the first few months that my daughter was alive either.
Then she thought about it and realized it was time to make him live up to his responsibility.
No, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter that, it happened that I had to do it.
Now, why did it happen that you had to do it, dear? Why did that happen?
I don't even know.
You don't even know.
I think that...
But you don't even know, so you might as well, let's face it. You don't even know. You might as well go to the state and demand money.
Maybe she needed a new...
You don't even know why you did it. You just had to do it.
Right.
Because he said he wanted to live up to his responsibility, and then he did. So you had to make him do it. That taught him a lesson.
It didn't teach him a lesson.
Next time, tell the bitch to get lost instead of saying you want to live up to your responsibility.
That's right.
Say, get lost, bitch, and you and your stupid bastard child, get lost. Then you wouldn't make him live up to his responsibility. But because he said he wanted to live up to his responsibility, and he didn't, now you're going to punish him. That's logic, Sylvia. That's the logic.
If it's a punishment, then that's his choice that he's...
What do you think it is, dear?
It is a punishment.
It's a punishment.
Why would he want to give money to you and your boyfriend?
He doesn't give it to me and my boyfriend.
Dear, that's who gets the money. Yeah, no, dear. It doesn't go to your child. How old is your child, dear? How old is your child?
My child is 4. She has
4 years old, and she gets a check in the mail, and she goes to the bank and cashes it? I don't think so.
It goes into her savings account. It really does.
Right, and so what does that money spend? Wait a minute. So she pays the daycare center. She goes and writes a withdrawal slip at the bank.
The money that I get that comes from
the money goes, dear. The money goes to you, not her. It may be in her account, but you're spending it.
I'm spending it for her.
Isn't that nice of you?
I'm not sitting with diamond rings and shoes and my hair done and my nails done.
No, not you. Not you.
No, I'm not.
Not you.
I'm not.
Well, why do you need daycare? Doesn't your boyfriend work?
I work.
You work. Why, does your boyfriend work?
He does, but he
doesn't make enough, so you need child support, huh?
No, he doesn't live with me, and it's not his child, and I'm not expecting him to pay anything.
You're not?
No, it's not. We don't live together.
If you take your 4-year-old to Disneyland for the day, let's say, who pays? You?
I would pay.
Your ex?
I would pay.
You would take money out of her little savings account at the bank there to take her?
No, not at all.
Where would the money come from?
It would come from me and my paycheck and my work.
I see. So your boyfriend never takes the two of you to a movie or to Disneyland, Finding Nemo, nothing like that, huh?
No, because I don't.
Never rents a DVD at Blockbuster?
Not just for her to watch, not a kid movie that we sit down and have
Find
a family.
it hard to believe, but what are you going to do? Thank you, dears. Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. It's Karen on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hi, Karen.
Hello. I just want to make a comment. If the grandparents were raising the daughter, why isn't the daughter going after the mother for child support?
Well, the mother is in the loony bin.
Well,
and it says here that the daughter was now made a ward of her grandparents.
Well, the mother should be held just as responsible as the father is now being held.
Well, her excuse will be she's got schizophrenia and she's in custody.
Well, then how do they know that that's really the man? I mean, maybe one of her other personalities slept with another guy and that could be the father. And where did his name come up in the whole situation? Well,
again, the deal is that this is all about the grandparents filing a lawsuit. And by the way, if you heard me read the story, it was they didn't file a lawsuit until the moron started exchanging email with his daughter. When she wrote to him, he got into this email conversation, then talked about meeting her, and then said, you know what, this has been a mistake, and said he didn't want to meet her. That's when they sued. So in reality, they're using the law to take a pound of flesh out of this guy.
Which is really ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that it's even possible to do that.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, I'm announcing on the air, if there's a girl or a boy out there who thinks I'm the father, don't write me, don't call me. Don't do it. I'm letting you know.
I just want to call and say I agree with you 100%, and just because he responded to emails doesn't give them any right to sue him for 18 years of child support.
That's right.
When legally they don't even know if that's actually his daughter. She could have slept with 5 other guys around the same time, and she's in the loony bin, so she just threw out a name. So I just want to call and say I agree with you, and the mother should be held just as responsible, whether she's in the loony bin or not.
Karen, thank you.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
Can you manipulate me into bed?
I don't have to. I whip out my wallet.
I thought you don't pay for anything.
Oh, I wouldn't give you any money. I just show it to you.
Oh, you just show it to me.
I wouldn't give you a penny.
The Tom Leykis Show.